I am in Arlington, Texas. I was at the Dallas debacle. I have no other way to describe this except for there was one thing, and I ended up using it when I wrote my story tonight. Dak Prescott, about 5 minutes into his press conference tonight, he said, paraphrasing here, there's no reason to panic. We can still be a good offense. We got good coaches. They'll figure out what we did well. I'm like, they're going to be looking for a while because it wasn't going well before you got hurt. Yeah. And I don't think it's going to go well after. What did you think of what you saw from the Dallas Cowboys in the Sunday night loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 19-3, in which it was probably the least effective game for a quote-unquote full health Dallas Cowboys team that I've seen maybe since Dak became the starting quarterback.
Yeah, and I read your column right before we started taping here, and I think you nailed it in that. No, it actually is time to panic because as that game's going on, and I started thinking about this podcast. I'm like, oh, we're just gonna be talking about how bad the Cowboys are. Like they're terrible. They look awful. And then Dak Prescott goes down. The reports out there he's supposed to be about 6-8 weeks. Realistically, how many games are the Cowboys going to win without Dak Prescott? I think 2-5 is realistic. And that's only if he misses 6 games. Like, this could be 8. It could be more. We don't know. We don't know if Dak Prescott's ever going to be right the rest of the season. You have thumb surgery in the middle of the season. That's not ideal. Everything about this is bad. They're bad before the injury. Like, just nothing was going right on that offense. You could tell the offensive line attrition affected them. You could tell that the lack of receivers around CeeDee Lamb really affected them. CeeDee Lamb didn't show up tonight. He was a non-factor. So literally everything about the Dallas Cowboys performance, offensively at least, defense, they were solid. Offensively, a disaster. And now you go forward without Dak Prescott. And you just can't help but think, I don't know how this team stays afloat until Dak Prescott comes back.
I think the two most authentic reactions of the night were first when the NBC camera caught Mike McCarthy, what appeared to be effectively being told the hand's broken. But like I've never seen someone who looked like their compass was literally spinning. And then afterward, I'm in the locker room and I didn't realize that players hadn't been told. We were standing outside the locker room with Jerry Jones.
From CD,
yeah, Jerry Jones is like, he tells us. And so I'm assuming we had just watched Jerry comes out of the locker room. Stephen Jones exits, hot pissed. I mean, like it was as pissed off as I've ever seen Stephen Jones ever walking out of that locker room, including playoff losses, whatever. And immediately I knew before Jerry even opened his mouth, I was like, oh my God, this is really bad. Whatever Jerry's about to say is really bad. So Jerry says, tells us it's broken, going to have to require surgery. He kept saying a couple weeks, but you could tell the way he was saying it. I definitely got the gist, like he clearly doesn't know. Like he's just saying that because, you don't want to come out and say it's 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever at this point. So you just say a couple weeks. So we get in the locker room and, CeeDee Lamb, I asked CeeDee Lamb, like, paraphrasing here again, like asking him, did you talk to Dak? What do you think? Jerry told us it's a broken, it's a break. It's going to be a few weeks. And you could just see on the look on his face was like, well, that sucks. I'm like, right there, bingo. That's it. That's it. Right here, we got this guy's unvarnished reaction to the news. Well, that sucks. And I'm like, that's accurate. What he just said is accurate. Absolutely. It sucks. Offensive line looked out of sorts. I thought Dak, I thought the wide receivers, CeeDee Lamb had moments. The wide receivers are mediocre. Like I just, in totality, I was like, this is, they're mediocre. I actually thought Zeke could have probably had a better day than he did, but he spent a lot of it pass blocking. And so I just looked at this offense and I'm like, this is completely jacked up based on what we've already seen in the preseason. Then they lose Dak Prescott. And I'm just like, yeah, man, I hate to tell you, Dak, but, and that's what I said. He's wrong. It's time to panic. I agree with you. I think there's just no way. It was already dysfunctional before. Now you take him out of this. Who knows what's going to happen? And oh, by the way, in the backdrop of all of this is the fact that Mike McCarthy, it's a pretty important season for Mike McCarthy.
He knows the pressure on him, and he knows exactly, like you can go through all this math in a real quick time in your head. And Mike McCarthy's probably like, uh-oh, this is so bad for me and this team and my future, truly. Like, I mean, he knows, this team knows this is a really tough road now without Dak. And I mean, if they're even close to 500 when Dak comes back, I'd be impressed. I really would, because and I hate to be like, it's one game, your season's lost, but how could you be optimistic right now if you're a Dallas Cowboys fan?